You don't have to wait for me to start recording, Tom, okay? As soon as you get on there, start recording it, okay?
Okay. I usually wait until we start talking about something important, and I'm just dragging up the document.
The other stuff isn't important? I'm not the only person out here, but basically might have something to say, okay?
Well, okay, when they do, I generally turn it on. Usually it's we're talking about what
I would just start it automatically, and basically people can either listen to it or not listen to it if they think that people are going off target.
Okay, very good. Do that.
Okay?
Yes.
There's one key thing here, okay? Everything out here that you've been doing all this time, you are a U.S. U.S. Treasury agent. You're a secret agent, man or woman, because you are a Treasury agent. Why do I say that? Because basically you are a depositor and owner of an account that is held at the Treasury. So you have the authority right then and there. That's the office that basically people needed to claim was their office of U.S. Treasury agent, depositor owner. You have at least one with the certificate of live birth. If you served in the military, you have a second Treasury account. Now, with the Federal Reserve banks, got you into a scenario using the Social Security number to access your other accounts and put claims against them. So that's a secret accessing and routing number, which is the Social Security insurance number. That's a savings account scenario. Now, everything out here, and I've said this before, okay, about the receipts. That basically you want to become rich, go dumpster diving at Walmart. Turn around and cash in those receipts from Walmart or from wherever. Well, we didn't quite have it right on how we had to do that. The process is that you have to come in and you have to get them adjudicated, the receipts, because basically those receipts are receipts for transportation. In other words, you are now the transporter of the debt that's attached to that receipt. You have to turn around and process those receipts and have them adjudicated or set off and get the refund that is due to you as a U.S. Treasury agent, depositor, owner. That's coming from all of the bankrupt corporations that are using our assets in the Federal Reserve Bank. That our assets in the Federal Reserve Bank are not in an individual secret Federal Reserve Bank account, because our assets are over with the United States Treasury. The United States Treasury turned around and loaned so much, granted so much of that Treasury assets over to the Federal Reserve Bank in a co-mingled account. Therefore, you stand as a depositor owner over all of the bankrupt public and private corporations out here because you don't know how much assets you have, but you have something there because they borrow. A corporation has to zero its books at the end of the year. Where do they get the money? There's only one source, and that is to go out and borrow it from the Federal Reserve banks by trade acceptances or bank acceptances. And we're a Treasury agent, a United States of America Treasury agent. That is our duly authorized office in the United States government. You also become the prosecuting officer when you submit these receipts in to the chief judge for the district and also the U.S. Attorney's Office for the district. You're not going to prosecute it in court, but you are the initiating prosecuting officer, just like the highway patrolman or the sheriff or the deputy. When he writes a ticket out, he is the prosecuting officer. He initiates the ticket, and then he signs it, stating that the information is valid. Then who prosecutes it in court? The county attorney or basically the U.S. attorneys are the prosecuting agents in court. See, now, like your traffic tickets, those are receipts in transportation. They're carrying a debt with them. You need to have them adjudicated, and basically it should be adjudicated back into the local court, but if they won't handle it, you go to the federal court. Receipts in transportation. Look up the definition of it. Okay? Then basically look up the definition of just a second. What the hell? Bonded warehouse. A bonded warehouse or part of a building, usually at a port of entry, designated by who else but the Secretary of the Treasury as a bonded warehouse for the storage of imported merchandise entered from warehousing for the manufacture or of merchandise in bond or for the repacking, sorting, and cleaning of imported merchandise. Every state has one of these bonded warehouses. And I just told you that we have receipts for transportation. So where is this bonded warehouse? It just so happens that it's the DOT, the Department of Transportation. Mm. You have a title to a vehicle, okay? You're carrying the debt, the receipt for the debt. You're transporting that. So basically, the DOT is holding the bonded debt item that you need to have set off with that certificate of title, with that driver's license. That's where the Department of Transportation comes in, because they're working under the Secretary of the Treasury as a bonded warehouse. You want a new car. Basically, you turn around and you get the invoice. The window sticker, that is basically a receipt. It's a warehouse receipt. A written contract between the owner of goods and a warehouseman under which the latter agrees to store the goods and the former to pay for storage. Okay, then it goes on. In a more formal and elaborate character, a symbolic representation of the stored property itself, a document of title to goods. That's what the window sticker is. They've been using our assets, so basically everything is paid for. The thing you have to do is have the debt set off that they owe back to the United States Treasury. In this country, there are two treasuries. There's the United States of America Treasury, and then there is the Federal Reserve Bank Treasury, which is holding our asset, part of our assets, in a commingled status. You have a a Social Security number. That is a customer number operating out here. You can stop being a customer in that capacity, because that's also a savings account, and it's an accessing port for the Federal Reserve and for these other corporations and the state netwits to try and harm you, try and keep you under their control by bonds, placing you into the bondage in the warehouse. So you get a traffic ticket. Basically, the traffic ticket has so much charge, and then it also has a appearance bond in most cases. You have to have that adjudicated to have it set off. That means it's got to go to a court. And you have to file your charge as a prosecuting officer, as a United States Treasury agent, owner, or depositor owner, and that gives you the authority to be a prosecuting officer, because a prosecuting officer is nothing more than a prosecuting officer, the sheriff or other peace officer who makes the affidavit or signs the information under which a criminal prosecution is begun. And if you're a United States Treasury agent, you're supposed to be operating in peace, so you are a peace officer. And you can fill out a document and send it in. Send a copy to the chief judge and also to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Take all your receipts. Put them on there. You sign it now as the prosecuting officer to prosecute these receipts. Take them from being a debt standpoint into a settlement standpoint, to where they have to give you the lawful exchangement back. In those cases, it's going to be under your United States Treasury agent account number, which is your certificate of live birth number, which will be setting it off against what the corporation receipt says it owes a debt to. Now, this goes in to the prosecuting officer, and basically, since you are a United States Treasury agent, you are representing the United States of America. Does the sheriff, when he signs a traffic ticket, does he have to pay a court filing fee? Hell no. If you are a U.S. Treasury agent, do you have to pay a court filing fee? Hell no. The U.S. prosecutor will initiate the court case. The U.S. Attorney's Office will initiate the court case. Now, in most of these items, for these receipts, they're going to be in the private. They're going to be in the back room. Take a look at what goes on at the federal courthouses. I mean, they've got buku amount of employees there. Their parking lots are jam-packed full. But yet, how many people do you really see coming in off the sidewalk into those buildings? Very, very few. Unless they've got a big name court case going on, there's nobody else in there coming in to see them. So what are those employees doing all day long? They're adjusting the books, because that's what justice is all about. Adjusting the books. Justice. So now I've touched on basically the Department of Transportation, the usage of set-off, because set-offs need to be adjudicated through a court system. Even at the local court, it needs to be set off. Now, if the local court won't handle it, you, as the living, are a United States Treasury agent. You are not the individual. And basically, when you get your status right, they're not going to be able to write a ticket against you. Warehouse receipts, okay? And then warehouse. The structure, usually one of considerable size, used for the storage of goods of the owner. All of these companies have been out there borrowing against our assets. If we don't cash the receipts in and claim the refund that basically they owe back to us, they're going to turn around and not have anybody out there putting the charge against them. So now they're going to pass that over to their employee officers or to their stockholders. Stockholders are not necessarily the main owners of that corporation. They just have a stock hold against the corporation. that we are a depositor owner over them every time they borrow using our assets. If you're the owner of Walmart and you walk through a Walmart store and you want something off the shelf, you just grab it. And you flash your owner's identification, and basically that's the end of the subject. Field warehousing. Talked to one of the guys. Basically, he was going to go out there and try and get a couple vehicles. He was going to try and go to the chief financial officer. Well, I tried that before, and I thought, well, maybe he might have better luck than what I did. Well, he didn't. Okay? But he was going on and telling me about all these fields of brand new automobiles sitting out in Arizona and different places. Brand new automobiles, Jaguars, you name it, sitting there because they can't sell them. But they've manufactured them, so right now they're sitting under a field warehousing, under a bondage, okay, to being used as security for them until someone comes in and claims them. You come in and claim it, and you set off the debt that they owe back to you as a United States Treasury agent, owner, or depositor owner. The public utility companies, the same damn thing. Why do most of these receipts that you get from the utility companies and even the tax bills, why do they carry a 30-day processing time on them? So that you can take those to a court and have them adjudicated. You basically refuse to pay the debt or have the debt set off, then you are classified as the criminal. That's the game they're playing. I tried to do the receipt process here before, but I was going to the wrong place. I didn't know that I had to come in as a U.S. Treasury agent. Therefore, I am part of the United States government. When you stand in as part of the United States government, then basically the U.S. prosecutor has to prosecute the item that you put on his desk. U.S. attorneys have to do that. And see, that's all we needed to do was find out. And see, the Federal Reserve is a federal treasury. It's not the United States Treasury. They made us Treasury agents when they gave us and deposited each person with individual assets from the Treasury by way of the certificate of live birth, or for a military person with the DD-214 under a selective service number. These laws, basically, in operation out here, are older than dirt, okay? But there's been so damn much deception out here by all these different gurus, and even the deal about having to have a UCC. You don't need a damn UCC. Poll deed, okay? I was told, well, the only valid place to put a deed poll in is in Washington State. How ludicrous is that? That's just like all these nitwits that were running around here saying that all our assets are down in Puerto Rico. Come on, people, wake up. Turn those people off. They're full of shit. Had one person come in and basically get something from supposedly a bankrupt part of the court system, but it was coming from North Carolina, and he's living in South Carolina. Talk about a scam. That's just like you get something in the mail and say, hey, you won the lotto. Send me this, and basically get into a contract with them, and basically now they'll have access to your account. You just granted them access. No, if you're in one state and basically some other state is coming in trying to operate as like a bankruptcy or something like that, come on, people, wake up. Get your head out of your ass and think for a second. Does that make sense? I'm sitting here right next down the street from my local bankruptcy court. Why isn't that place telling me something about this? If they're not telling me, then basically something's wrong here. And something big time's wrong. You're getting scammed. There's more deceivers out there than you could shake a stick at. And it's about time you people started waking up. I've hit on every damn subject out here on this whole damn process. I said you could be rich tomorrow. Go down to Walmart and go through the Dipsy dumpsters and get the receipts. I just didn't have where we needed to process them through, and nobody out there was willing to think about this and give a helping hand in the thought process. All of this stuff that I found, basically about the warehouse and about the prosecuting attorney, about customer, about set-off, it was all out of the dictionaries. Not out of any of the damn stinking codes. The codes will lead you astray. That's what they're there for. They're coded. And you don't have the key to breaking their code. You may think you do, but you don't. You have to operate in the real world, and the real world doesn't operate by codes. But the real world is too simple for most people. They need to have complicated, and they need to have the blood and guts and all the gore and everything else and the misery, and that basically makes it all worthwhile. Because if we don't have that, then basically we're just not living. Well, I'm sorry to say, but that ain't my type of living. You can send these into the Recorder of Deeds in Washington, D.C. when you do your deeds. Whether you do or not, I don't care, okay? But you should send it in to the chief judge for the district or to the U.S. The state attorney, or like this one that I just did for the my fifth adoption. I'm going to send it into the Secretary of the Treasury, stating I am a U.S. Treasury agent. Now you start giving me my total protections. I want my U.S. Treasury agent identification card and account card. Because, see, we are the Treasury of the United States now. Maxwell Smart, 99. All the secret agents. James Bond, 007. Secret Agent Man. See, you're a secret agent, a Treasury agent, a United States Treasury agent. And you have the authority to initiate a prosecution. Now, as a United States Treasury agent. And everything operates out here is all about money. Unless you go out and kill somebody or beat somebody up, then you're going to do some time, possibly. Unless you are totally justified in self-defense.
All right. No, I'm good.
And as a Treasury agent, basically, you will have more protection than you know what to do with. So you take all your receipts, start doing an Excel file on them, get them put together. You're going to send them in a copy of that, and you could you record the cash register number, the receipt number, and the value. You get the store number. If you're able to get the EIN number, all the better. If you don't, basically, they can find it out. They've got the resources. They're at the courthouse, the federal courthouse, or the United States courthouse. They've got access to all those federal EIN numbers. They know who the debtors are. We just have to come in and start operating as a depositor owner and order the set-off of the debt that they owe to us. And stop running around and transporting it all over the damn country. Send those in. Basically, I've got one here for going for a gas station. Hell, normally that's a pretty good place to go through the dipsy dumpsters at the gas station, because in a lot of cases, people have been paying $100 or so to fill up a tank. So it only takes one receipt to get $100. You get 10 of them, you got $1,000.
Up the gas room, you make $1 million.
Yeah. You send this in, and as a U.S. Treasury agent depositor, I am standing as a duly authorized prosecuting officer to sign this information under which a U.S. civil or criminal prosecution is now to begin to be done by the U.S. Justice Department to enforce U.S. Treasury justice. And justice is basically a settlement, a monetary settlement. And then in order to maintain, so you sign and execute that with your signature. Then next line down below that, I've got, in order to maintain the effective operational office of this U.S. Treasury agent, it is required that the U.S. court bailiff needs to make a pre-settlement delivery to this agent within 24 hours in cash or money order. No checks accepted. Then you have a date and a U.S. court set-off order concurrence by the judge. This is going to be a private adjudication. There's not going to be a court case. This will never go on the books. But it will be in the banking books as a settlement. Then when you process this thing through, they will turn around and send out the tax bills to those corporations to do the set-offs. That's where the 1099 A, B, C's, D's, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, O, M, whatever. Therefore, the corporations that are operating under the Federal Reserve banking system as borrowers, they're not for us. They never were for us. We owe no taxes. But they got us in under that false Social Security account to try and force us into the process and deceive us, taking further assets away from us. But when you start coming in that you are the initial Treasury depositor, all funds have to go back to the source. And you are the source. Just like a battery. The charge goes out on one pole, but it turns around and comes back through on the other pole. If it don't, then basically the circuit's broken and there's no charge going out. There's no usage. It's dead in the water. And see, that's what, in a lot of cases, you have been basically playing as a dead in the water boat out here, not up completing the circuit that you're required to complete. I hope this makes some sense to you guys.
A lot. You brought back a lot of what you said and Reed brought it into focus.
Yeah, you guys go ahead and talk about this now. I don't know what more I can say about this. You pull up those items and start looking at them.
Yeah, I've been pulling up the definitions and been going through them.
Yeah. I finally got started getting my mom to give me her receipts. So I got one store for $771 that I'm going to be sending in to get back for her, that I'm going to put it in against my account. That will be my Treasury agent account. Is my certificate of live birth account. And see, that's where the bailiff can turn around and draw funds out of right now as a pre-settlement delivery until basically the other funds are properly adjudicated to be deposited over into my account to do the set-off. See, we don't have to wait. We've got the funds there. And when you come in as a U.S. Treasury agent, you now have one hell of a lot of power. How many of these secret agent TV shows and everything have you seen? The Bourne Identity and everything always seem to run around with cash. Where the hell were they getting all this? Because it was being funded out of their accounts to them. Because they were an officer of the government. And see, when you have that certificate of live birth, you are an officer of the government, a U.S. Treasury agent. That was sort of a secret account that I was trying to find, that I was trying to go to the Federal Reserve. Well, no, we don't have an account at the Federal Reserve because the United States Treasury turned around and took everybody's assets and then commingled them together and then sent them over to the Federal Reserve. So the only account that we have is normally the 11-digit account number, Treasury account number, that's on the certificate of live birth or on the selective service account.
Well, depending on the state you're in, I only get like 7.
Yeah. Pennsylvania, I think they're still on a 7-digit, and basically if you were born in Boston, Boston proper, they had either a 6 or a 7. I forget what the hell number theirs was. But, yeah, and several of them. And then if you were an old-timer, basically they had a slightly different numbering system, but it's still an account number. They were just hoping you would die and basically not know anything about this shit.
And also, too, Pat, I'll mention what we were talking about earlier today. There's a form you can fill out. I want to talk about the 7050 form. Social Security is not the Department of or anything. It's just an administrative company. What it is,
and it's tied into the Federal Reserve. Well, when you come in now as a Treasury agent, you can basically work with the Secretary of the Treasury after you've informed the Secretary of Treasury that you are one of his United States Treasury agents and that you want to terminate that Social Security because you now know who in the hell you are.
But also, as we were talking that, like you say, you save all your receipts. Well, you know, the shit I bought 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I obviously don't have any receipts. So when you get the 7050 form, they actually mail you a document, grommeted with a red ribbon through it, sealed the ribbon to the piece of paper and signed in blue ink by a real person. What it is that receipt you get from the Social Security is telling you how much money you made in your life. Obviously, if you're broke today, you spent it all. That is basically your lifetime receipt because that's all the money they owed you because you've never gotten paid, and the IRS keeps track of it.
That's just a pittance of what they owe you, okay?
That's what I'm saying, right. Instead of going collecting cans and pumping gas.
Yes, that is what I'm saying, Gary, is basically that when we come in as a United States Treasury agent and we go to the Secretary of the Treasury and we demand that the Social Security account be terminated,
right?
It will be terminated and all the assets that are tied to it will be handed over to us.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what that 70/50 form is. Say this
But
is how
see,
much
we don't need a form.
No, they're saying
The
it's you,
living
listen,
person
no.
does not use fucking forms.
This ain't a form. I'm telling you.
I know.
They're just telling you how much money you made in your lifetime. This is what we owe you. This is what you can go collect, basically. Instead
Yeah,
of
and
receipts.
basically, I've gotten those before, but I don't get them with a red ribbon or a yellow ribbon or anything like that. It's
I
just
gave
a
you one.
statement of
you one.
earnings.
I sent you a 750 form about a year ago, and I had to show you. I wanted to talk about that, but
Yeah, but this,
no.
you get this every year, or you used to, every year how much you have paid in, and we're supposed to only have to work 40 quarters, and that was supposed to be the end of the damn Social Security.
Correct.
And it was only supposed to be a 7-year contract initially to give you some retirement, but they never did terminate it because we never stepped forward to shut down that savings account. Now when we come in as the U.S. Treasury agent, we can shut it down. You have government authority over the Social Security Administration. They're a foreign public agency. And you are superior to them because you're in the de jure. They're in the corporate structure. In other words, you can start kicking ass.
I'm not sure they're in a corporate structure. They're not a department of or anything. They're just administrating the money that's owed to you. They're not no government agency.
Yeah, they're tied into the Federal Reserve Bank because the Federal Reserve Bank needed that Social Security number to be a secret accessing and routing number to give the Federal Reserve banks another means of going and attacking our accounts, to put liens and bonds against them.
Right.
And see, now, when you come in and you are the Treasury, now you can put the stop to that. Say, enough is enough. You're the one that's violating the law, Mr. Federal Reserve banker. And see, you can have that adjudicated to the court, too. You come in as a prosecuting officer and file your charges. See, that's one thing that we were trying to do, but they kept trying to make us pay. Well, we don't have to pay for court actions because we are a U.S. Treasury agent. That's how, in the modern time frame now, why we don't have to pay for any court action. One of the guys got his document. Well, I've had this happen to me too. Well, you're submitting documents and you don't have a court case. Well, yeah, you're right. I don't have a court case. So we tried to figure out, well, what case number can I use? I'll come in and basically, no, you don't go in there and act like you're a debtor. You come in as the creditor, as the United States of America. Now, you prosecute them. But you're not going to be the prosecuting attorney in the court scenario. That is going to be handed over to the U.S. Attorney's Office out of the Department of Justice, the Attorney Generals, whether it be the state or the federal. I don't see too many times that they run around and give a U.S. Treasury agent a traffic ticket. At least you never hear about it. Of course, you never hear about the court case if it ever gets to that part. But the judge turns around and throws it out because the person who's standing there is a U.S. Treasury agent. Well, we ain't going to go that route. So they dump it like a hot potato. Because your next action, basically, if they don't process it and settle it, you're going to take it to the district court level. And you will basically have them prosecuted for violating their own damn laws of setting something off when you ordered them to set it off. That's why they haven't come after me after my traffic tickets, because of the things that I've said. And now I know that basically if they do try, I will take them because I ordered them to set it off at the state court level, and they didn't. And I will turn around and have that prosecuted now at the federal level or at the United States District Court level. You want to try and stay away from the federal side as much as possible, because that's the corporate side. The de jure side is basically just the United States District Court. And see, when you go to court, they try and get you into the federal side of the court, and then you've got to pay out of your back pocket.
Yeah, it's called going to the back window.
Yeah. But it just didn't, until I started working all this thing through, putting the players down and saying, hey, wait a minute, we are the Treasury. We have the accounts. So we've got to be the Treasury.
Well, it wouldn't exist without our labor, so...
Well, our labor and basically our inheritance.
Right, well, our inheritance is from, still labor involved. The only true means of payment is labor, so...
We were basically, at our birth, we were given an inheritance, and that is even stated on my hospital birth certificate, a right of inheritance. And that is a right of inheritance in the United States of America. That is an accrual of the labor and everything from our forefathers. And then see, for the baptismal record, we can basically have that processed through the court system against the Church of Rome.
Not that we'll need it.
Well, we might as well get it out of their hands. That's the thing. We've got to take the funds out of the devil's hands, because if you leave it in their hands, they're going to use it against you over time. But if you starve them out, basically then they'll blow away. Okay, anybody else got any questions or anything?
Yeah, Patrick, does this mean that we are, to our deed poll, we are adding not only that we are the grantor owner and elector, but now a treasury agent?
No, take that off, and we are a United States treasury agent, depositor, owner.
Owner. Okay, got it.
Now, we didn't do any granting of anything, okay? The United States Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury, granted some of our assets over to the Federal Reserve.
Not us.
We don't have a grantor's contract saying that we granted that to them. But the Social Security, basically, that would be a grantor's document that you're granting them permission to access your account. You've given them consent.
Like an ignorant grant to me.
No. But
hey,
these
Patrick,
invoices, okay, when you do these, you put, like I said, you put down the store number, the name of the place, give the address and everything, and the store number, then the cash register number, the receipt number, and the value. And then you total it up. And that's how much you're putting in for a debt, total U.S. Treasury debt due by court order set-off against that debtor, that Federal Reserve EIN debtor.
To clarify I just lost myself. The registered receipt. Here's why it's called the registered receipt, because it's registered. It's a registered IOU to you. So it's registered at the Treasury once it goes into that machine.
Well, it's just a receipt in transportation. That's the correct name of it.
The registered debt, so you can collect on it.
Yeah, it's a receipt for transportation of the debt.
Right.
And you're transporting that debt around, and you're not setting it off.
We're sinners.
Yeah, and you've got to take it to court to have it set off, because the court is the only one that can properly adjudicate a set-off. That's why they're called the Justice Department.
Hey, Patrick, it's Steve.
Yeah.
When you said that the Department of Transportation is transporting the debt, is that just like, are they just
no,
like...
they are a warehouse.
Oh, right. Okay.
Bonded.
Yeah, they're a bonded warehouse.
Right.
And see, they are holding the debts over there for, like, the vehicles. You haven't set the debt off yet for that vehicle that you just bought. That's where you have to do the set-off and have it adjudicated to have the set-off from the Ford Motor Company or from Chrysler or whoever that made that automobile, that borrowed the money from the Federal Reserve Treasury, that the Federal Reserve Treasury borrowed the money from the United States Treasury, which you have an account at, and so much of your account was commingled into the deposit that was made over at the Federal Reserve Treasury.
Yeah, I get it.
So you are an owner, a depositor owner, over all of these public, private corporations out here that are operating with an EIN and borrowing money from the Federal Reserve Bank, which they all have to do because they have to zero their books at the end of the year. So they're forced into operating and borrowing money from the banks.
Okay, I understand. That's just like a safe deposit box or something like that. It's a warehouse. Yeah.
They're holding those, yes, until we come forward and do the set-offs.
Right.
And then basically you have a driver's license, and so that's another bond allowing you to break the law and continue not setting that debt off. That's what that driver's license is about. It's allowing you to use that vehicle and not set the debt off, allowing you to break the law.
Because, again, the only time you need a license is if you're doing something illegal, immoral, or unlawful, period.
Right.
That makes sense, yeah.
Now, we said this years ago, some of this stuff. And this is all pulling it together now.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is become that secret agent man. No, you get one of these in. Basically, you send it in, and especially this number 5, and I'll try and get a template out maybe tomorrow for an invoice showing you what the hell I have, and also the template for the number 5 because there's no numbers on the number 5 poll deed, and then you get these sent in to the chief judge, to the U.S. attorneys, and to the Secretary of the Treasury. And more than likely, you're going to be getting a knock on the door and be brought out of the system. You'll get your Secret Service, Secret Treasury agent identification card and everything else.
Okay.
We're going to get smart.
Yeah. Maybe even get 99.
Well, it's a satanic number. 99 is 18, 8 and 1 is 9, and that satanic symbol is 9. Just eats itself continuously.
Oh, she was good looking anyway.
Yeah, she was cute.
Okay, you'll get Charlie's Angels then. And I love that one, okay?
Yeah,
People don't even know what an angel is, okay? The word angel, basically, in old times, really stood for a woman. An angel always sat on your shoulder, always had your back. Over in Asia, basically, the women walked 3 steps. It used to be that they walked 3 steps behind their man. The man was always out front, and the woman had his back. And that's where, basically, the angels, your guardian angel is your wife or your woman. Your mate, female companionship.
And don't worry, you girls, us men got your back.
So, I tried to give you girls a pat on the back by calling you angels.
Well deserved.
But there's one hell of a lot of devils out there, too. Okay, and the devils are the females that want to be out front and want to be control over the man and everything else. They're not angels. Let the man protect you. Not that he's always smarter than you, but basically that's the way the game's played. See, an angel is always supposed to be on the shoulder feeding information into the man. How many different cartoons do you ever see that you always had a good angel on one shoulder and a bad angel on the other shoulder? And they were always talking into the ear. So you people don't think. You've had this in your memory out here for eons.
Well, so didn't you, so don't yell at us.
I know. I can't. Because I got the floor. If you guys want the floor, then speak the hell up. Take it away from me.
Well, the reason why people ain't got nothing to say, because when you're done talking, what the hell is there to say, really, you know? So it's a compliment when nobody has any questions for you, so leave it at that.
Well, I don't know. And,
well, you come to these calls so well prepared, Patrick, that as we're listening, we're just it's taking it in, and you've occupied our minds thoroughly with this.
But basically the only way you can take it in is, like I said, you just can't sit there and listen to something. You have to intermingle. You have to show interaction.
Right.
Okay? You can't run a race in your mind. Okay? They don't hand out ribbons for winning a race in your mind. You've got to get out there on the track and run the race to get the reward. And all this stuff that basically we've been doing, there's been very few people out here that I know that have really been doing the trial and error scenario to pull it together and then sit down and talk some of these things over. Well, here's what I found out from this guy. It didn't work, but we found out a little tidbit from this guy, and then we add that to the little tidbit that this other person got from this other guy over here, and lo and behold, we start pulling some of this stuff together. Okay. Any questions?
See that? You did such a good job. You get no more questions.
Going once?
Patrick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a question. Just going by my notes, but the initiating presenting officer that's us as the prosecutor, right?
We are coming in as a prosecuting officer who has the authority to initiate a prosecution.
Right.
We're not going to prosecute it in court, but we are a peace officer because we are now a U.S. Treasury agent officer. Right. Our Office of U.S. Treasury is we are a U.S. Treasury agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Okay. Read the definitions in Ballantyne's about prosecuting officer.
Okay.
I knew we had to have it prosecuted, but so I went into prosecuting, and then I went down through the definitions under prosecuting. I came up with prosecuting officer, and I read that definition, and I said, shit, that's what we are. We've been trying to get this, but Now, when I had that we are a U.S. Treasury agent, now we have the authority to initiate a prosecution. Now the U.S. Justice Department or the U.S. attorneys have to comply with our items. See, I've tried to send warrants and everything else to these guys to sort of force their hand to do things. But I was coming in as an individual. No, we need to be an officer of the United States of America.
Right.
And we're one of the senior officers because we're a depositor owner.
Yeah, I get it.
Depositor and owner is always higher than a debtor.
Right, like you said, you can pick things off the shelf.
Okay?
Yeah, I get it.
There was somebody else had a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah.
Speak up.
As a confirmation to this whole process, there is a rule in the creditor-debtor association that all credit has to be returned to the creditor, which is basically the same thing as what we're talking about here.
Right. Everything has to go back to the source.
Right.
And that's a law of nature.
Mm-hmm.
See, you came from Earth, and basically that's your source that you came from. So where do you have to go back to? You have to go back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You try and mess with Mother Nature and shoot yourself out in the Never Never Land and outer space, and basically you're going to be punished.
Now, when you bring up United States of America, United States, those are corporations. When you say United States of America, you should be saying lower U, lower S, America, because the other two are corporations. So yeah, that's a confusing statement sometimes when you say United States of America. You'd have to see it because it's lowercase.
We are the real, we're not the copyrighted United States, corporate United States.
United States is all lowercase. That separates.
That don't make a damn better difference. Just, you know who you are, okay?
They say what they mean what they say. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it that way. So.
Yeah. No, don't play the name games. We've done that too damn much already. Capital first letter, small letter, capital all letters, capital this, capital. That's all bullshit.
Well, I don't think it is in this case.
It's what you mean is what is important. Okay? And basically, if they make the wrong interpretation, they're the ones that are going to get punished. Because you are now in control. Yeah, so start signing everything you've got with U.S. Treasury agent, and then parentheses or whatever, depositor owner. And then sign your name, your first name, semicolon, your last name. Because you're not dead yet.
I never use it anyway.
Huh?
I never use my last name on papers anymore.
Well, you can use it. You can put it there to show what clan you came from.
Right. Well, not family, because family, if you look at it, means slave.
Yeah.
So.
You got to have semblance of identification. Okay? Just like putting junior or senior in front of your name or whatever, to show the difference, the separation of the old man, Jack, or the son, Jack. We won't get into the jack-offs. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, not. Thank you very much, Patrick. We'll get to studying this very hard and working this out. Thank you for organizing it for us.